Good news. If the Earth suddenly stops spinning, all your problems will too, instantly. So, what happens after the world stops moving? Let's find out how long it takes before everything and everyone falls apart. What if one day the Earth simply stopped spinning? No warning, no slowdown, just stillness. The planet, once rotating at more than 1,600 kilometers per hour at the equator, suddenly freezes in motion. What happens next would be beyond anything humanity could imagine. Let's start with what that rotation actually does. Earth's spin creates the cycle of day and night, influences winds and weather, and shapes the planet's oceans through centrifugal force. It's not just motion, it's balance. And if that balance stopped, the results would be apocalyptic. In the first few seconds, chaos would erupt. Everything not firmly anchored to bedrock would continue moving at the speed the Earth was spinning. That means the atmosphere, oceans, and even loose soil would rush eastward at more than 1,000 miles per hour. Skyscrapers would collapse, entire cities would be swept away, oceans would surge across continents in unimaginably huge tsunamis. Anything on the surface, people, cars, forests, would be launched into the air by momentum. It would be a disaster of global scale, and it would happen instantly. After the initial destruction, the long-term consequences would be even worse. With the Earth no longer spinning, the day-night cycle would vanish. One side of the planet would face the sun constantly, burning in endless daylight. The other side would be plunged into eternal darkness. The daylight side would become unbearably hot, oceans would evaporate, the atmosphere would thicken with water vapor, and eventually heat up like Venus. The dark side, on the other hand, would freeze solid, with temperatures dropping to hundreds of degrees below zero. A narrow twilight band between the two sides might remain somewhat habitable, where the heat and cold balance out, but violent winds and storms would make survival nearly impossible. The lack of rotation would also destroy the magnetic field. Normally, the spinning molten core generates Earth's magnetism, shielding us from solar radiation. Without it, deadly cosmic rays would bombard the surface, stripping away what's left of the atmosphere. Satellites would fail, communication systems would collapse, and radiation levels would rise dramatically. Earth would become a hostile, barren world, half scorched, half frozen. But let's imagine a slower scenario. What if Earth's rotation gradually slowed down instead of stopping instantly? In that case, the destruction might take centuries, but the results would still be devastating. Days would grow longer, leading to extreme temperature swings between scorching days and freezing nights. Weather systems would collapse, ocean currents would shift. Life as we know it would struggle to adapt. A slower rotation would also change gravity's effect on the planet's shape. Right now, the equator bulges slightly due to centrifugal force. Without spin, that bulge would flatten, and oceans would migrate toward the poles. Coastal regions like New York, Tokyo, and Sydney would vanish underwater, while new land would rise at the equator. Human civilization would have to move underground or underwater to escape radiation and temperature extremes. Survival would depend on artificial light, climate control, and perhaps nuclear or geothermal power. Some scientists suggest that if the Earth ever stopped spinning, it could eventually become tidally locked with the sun, just like the moon is locked to Earth. One hemisphere would permanently face the sun. The other would be frozen in darkness forever. In that future, life might continue only in artificial habitats built in the twilight zone, the last strip of livable ground between fire and ice. But let's return to the original question. Could Earth ever truly stop spinning? The answer is not anytime soon. The planet's rotation is gradually slowing, but extremely slowly, about 2 milliseconds per century. That's because the moon's gravity creates tidal friction, which ever so slightly drains energy from Earth's spin. It would take billions of years for the rotation to stop completely. By then, the sun itself will have expanded into a red giant, swallowing Earth long before the spinning ceases. Still, imagining this scenario shows us something profound. Our world is fragile because it moves. The gentle spin that gives us sunrise, sunset, and the rhythm of life is also what keeps us alive. If it stopped, even for a moment, the balance of everything air, water, light, and life would collapse. The next time you see the sunrise, remember that it's not just beauty, it's motion, it's energy, it's survival. So what if the Earth stopped spinning? We wouldn't have time to understand it. The end would arrive faster than the thought itself. And then, silence.